Welcome to The Power of Potential, a podcast hosted and produced by St. Rose High School in Belmar, New Jersey. The show is dedicated to helping parents navigate the world of private education while showcasing the potential of its students, teachers, and alumni. St. Rose High School has been empowering potential since 1923. Now, here are your hosts, Director of Communications, Michael Falgaris, and from the class of 2024, Ariana Simon.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whenever you're listening to the podcast. I'm Michael Falgaris.
I'm Mariana Simon.
And welcome to another episode of the Power of Potential podcast, produced by the students and staff here at St. Rose High School. This is episode 4. Can you believe it that we've been going here for the last couple of weeks?
I really can't believe it. I feel like we just did the first one, and now we're already on 4.
Yep. It goes by fast. On last week's show, we covered the Evans Scholarship winners. On that episode, we had Michael Fluhr, and he's here on this episode. So he's a busy guy, Michael. But on this week's show, I'm excited. I heard about what's happening with our new business teacher, Mr. Attardo, who's here with us today, and different things that he's been doing with something called the stock market game.
What would you do if you were given $100,000? Would you spend it all at once? Would you think about putting some of it in the bank? We'd like to teach you how to invest it so you might grow it. Through the stock market game, you will gain a fundamental understanding of investing and how you might get your money to work for you. On today's episode, we welcome St. Rose's financial and business teacher, Mr. Anthony Attardo, and a few of his students involved in the stock market game.
So who's here with us? We have...
I am Michael Fluhr.
Okay, and then we have...
I'm Chris Huisman.
And...
I'm Victoria Wilson.
Okay, Victoria Wilson and Chris, welcome. Mr. Attardo, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
You guys just might need to get a little closer to the mic when it's your turn to talk, and you can feel free to move that around. So, Mr. Attardo, how long have you been here with us at St. Rose?
So I haven't been here too long. Started at the end of January, and so it's just been a handful of months.
Tell us a little bit about yourselves, because I've been hearing different things from different people. You know, as a new faculty member, what all good things.
All good things.
All good things. What's your background like?
So I kind of went the unconventional route to becoming a teacher. I had spent about 30 years in the investment industry. I'm aging myself. About 20 of those years, I was an analyst on Wall Street. Most of that time with J.P. Morgan covering stocks. And so I've been fortunate to have a Wall Street career, and that's been rewarding. And so the hope in transitioning to teacher is that you take some of those experiences and you try to pass it on to the students, and maybe which allows them to maybe learn things that you might not find in a textbook. And so it's been a great few months, and hopefully the kids have been kind of enjoying the occasional stories of what's going on out there, and hopefully in a little ways it's inspiring to them, and certainly what we're going to talk about here is inspiring to me.
You know, it's amazing to have someone like you in their lives. I didn't have that. I grew up and went to public school. I had one class on like personal finance, on like how to write checks. I don't write checks anymore. Like I didn't get the whole, you know, how important your credit is, investing money, and how compound works. You
Interest works for you or
yeah.
against you. Yeah.
And like if I would have started at 18 and just put $100 away, what would I have now?
It's a really good evolution. It's extremely productive. I mean, when I graduated high school, I tell the kids a story a lot that when they get to college, they're going to get pounded with credit card companies at the student center, if I remember right. I mean, 10 credit card companies, and I explain the reason why credit card companies get them while they're somewhat susceptible. They're freshmen in college. They want to spend money. A lot of them don't have money to spend. And so what we talk about is rates of interest, and as you say, how they could work against you for a long period of time, and things like that, and being able to write a check, even though there's technology at play right now, where I'm not so sure the kids will be writing too many checks going forward, but it's certainly something that I did not have at all when I was in high school, but it's essential.
What made you go the route of finance?
It's partly because of that. I thought there was a white space in a lot of schools. This school was proactive enough to had implemented business already and personal finance already. But there's a lot of schools out there that didn't have it, and which I found as kind of odd, just given we're in the backyard of Philadelphia and New York and Wall Street, and a lot of these kids are the sons and daughters of people that are in finance.
Like Ariana.
So
Yes, my dad worked on Wall Street for about 15 years in the 80s and early 90s. So I have some background knowledge of stories he's told me about the crazy things that were going on in the 80s. I'm sure it's different now. Of all the insane parties and stuff that was going on.
the 80s was a little different.
Yeah, it was a little insane. But that's not what I mean.
We don't teach that.
Yeah, no.
That's Wolf of Wall Street.
Yes.
So I have some knowledge, and he always is telling me what you're saying, you have to act pay attention to credit and interest and all that. And I partially didn't listen for a long time because I thought it was far away.
Sure.
But now it's actually important and I have to hear it. So I think it's actually amazing that you're teaching a class for the kids that didn't have their dad that worked on Wall Street, in school.
And the importance of the words far away is the reason why you do it, because if you know how much investments accumulate over time, then knowing the importance of doing it early in life and what that might mean by the time you retire or get older or want a vacation and so forth, or the opposite effect of that is doing things on the wrong side of interest, like we talked about the credit cards, doing that while you're young, how that can impact the years ahead. And so, my daughter's is in school as an 8th grader taking personal finance as a requirement, and so I think it's great what's going on kind of at St. Rose and select schools around.
So you've been able to elevate it or integrate into the curriculum this thing called the stock market game. Victoria, can you share a little bit about what the stock market game is?
Before Victoria starts, I just don't want to take credit for implementing it. The stock market game had been going on here.
Okay.
To the credit of my predecessors.
Okay.
And so I don't want to take full credit for it, but we've continued it because it's fantastic, and Victoria can take
Excellent. Thank you.
The stock market game, basically you just get a certain amount of fake money. So we started with $100,000. And we could choose to invest it in whatever stocks we wanted to and whatever stocks we felt would be successful. And so you're each put in a team, and then from there you go and your team decides which stocks they want to invest in, and then you can make trades as you go.
And you're doing it all on the platform?
Yes. Yeah.
Nice.
So it's like a website, and then you have a login and everything.
So, Chris, what is your investment strategy been?
So my investment strategy, I have a great team. I have a great team of people.
So this is a team. This is a team.
This is a team effort.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a team effort. This is not
individual.
I got smarter people with me. It's like once a great man once said, you have to surround yourself with smart people.
Yep.
My investment strategy has really just been trying to look around my surroundings to see what companies are around and more prevalent in my life. For instance, one of our investments was Roku in the stock market game. And when I was talking with my team of professional investors, we were talking about how some of our TVs have Roku built in them. And I was like, oh, wait, all my TVs have Roku built in them. I didn't even notice it because it's just like a part of it. So I was like, oh, that could be a good thing to look at. And then my smart people team agreed. Chris, good job. That was a smart idea.
Is there criteria when you're buying stocks, Mike, that you have to consider?
Yeah, there's a lot of things that we look at as a team before we choose which stocks to invest in. We'll check out the PE ratio of each stock, what this company, we'll look at what this company has going forward, their plans for the future. That's extremely important in investing in stocks because maybe this company is doing great now, but if they don't have any plans to expand in the future, that could be a downside. So we look at a lot of future plans for the company and all that stuff when looking at a stock.
Have you talked about cryptocurrencies at all? Is that touched on in the class?
Dogecoin.
Dogecoin. Yeah,
I know
cryptocurrencies. There's no shortage of conversation about cryptocurrencies in the class, and cryptocurrencies is certainly exciting, and it's especially for the younger investors who are on Robinhood and getting into investments, and they see a lot of people making money And so, one of the things that I learned at an early age that I try to pass on to the students is that, there are projections and somewhat hope for certain things to be bigger and better going forward. And then there's reality, things that you're using now. Chris mentioned Roku. And one of the things that I learned as an early investor and I implemented throughout my career was that I always tell the students, don't look beyond your nose. And so, yes, cryptocurrency could be something. It certainly is something exciting right now and could be, very profitable, big businesses going forward.
Yeah.
But in front of your nose, I often suggest you're using Venmo. So why not take what's actually working right now and invest in the owner of Venmo, which is PayPal? And there's precedence to that, that suggests that,
Invest in what you use?
Invest in what you actually – Chris nailed it when he talked about Roku. It's when you start to notice that it's not on one TV but 2, 3, 4, that's growth. Right? You're seeing it before your eyes. So Bitcoin right now is a story, and it could be a very lucrative story going forward. But my particular style and what's worked for professional investors like myself through the years has been to wait a little bit. Let's see if it starts to become a little more of a reality. You start to see sales and profits grow at these companies, and there's still enough upside at that time for it to be an extremely good stock. But right under our nose right now is Venmo. We're all using Venmo and paying for it. And so I'm an older guy. I'm conservative. I'm not like the Robin Hood investor. I could certainly understand the excitement about cryptocurrency. I'm going to wait, but there's certainly a lot of people that are jumping forward right now and believing in it.
I mean, as an investor, a teacher, a father, would you recommend getting your child set up with a Robinhood or a similar M1 Finance type of account so that they could, and giving them some money and showing them some strategies and maybe starting early? Is that a good idea?
I think it's great. I mean, investing and learning investing is fantastic, and the earlier you start, the better. Robinhood is like training wheels for new investors. I mean, it allows you to buy with not that much money.
Right.
The risk that's floating around Wall Street right now is Robinhood may not be teaching people the right route. It's more what we call trading. Meaning you're in the gym and you heard the guy next to you made 100% return on this cryptocurrency, and so you buy it, and so what investing is really buying a piece of the company, and that's what most of the analysts on Wall Street do is you're actually buying a company that's durable, that has a competitive advantage. That has a product that's going to grow, as Mike said, as you look at their prospects for the next few years. Because you could get hurt trading.
Sure.
Not now because everything's going up and it keeps going up. But a lot of people haven't seen downtimes. And so you try to caution a little bit on trading. And so what we try to do in the stock market portfolios is really just go through criteria that good long-term companies, which create good long-term stocks, where they check the boxes is typically a good thing, and that's what we try to implement.
Now, in the stock market game, Victoria, if you want to buy a specific stock, let's say Tesla, and you don't have enough money to buy one share of Tesla, can you buy a portion of a share? Like in...
I don't think so.
The stock market game, you have to buy a full share.
You have to buy a full share.
Yeah, but you can always sell some of your other stocks. That way you can gain some of that money back. So that way you have enough to buy a full share if you so choose to do that.
Is there criteria on what you can on what constitute a share, or you have to buy a trade, a certain amount of shares, a dollar amount?
I think there's a certain amount. There's a minimum on how much money you should spend when you're making a trade. I just don't know what it is.
I'm typically about maybe 5 holdings, $20,000. Not just stocks either. It could be bonds or mutual funds or ETFs.
So you're playing as a team against other teams in the class. Is that right?
Against other teams in the class and other teams throughout the state. So there's a lot of different schools and teams.
Region.
The nation too, right?
Yes, exactly. In the whole country that are participating in the stock market game, that we can see the standings and how their stocks are doing, how our stocks are doing in comparison to theirs, and it's a nationwide competition. So
And so does it all start, does everyone get their $100,000 on a certain date and then it resets every year? Is that
yeah, exactly. I don't know about like year, it's like a certain period of time. I think. Then you say
Seasonal, so
and-
February 20, I think late February we started,
Okay.
22nd, and it'll end mid-May around the 14th or so.
Oh, okay. So you're in the middle of it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So where's your group in reference to other people in the state?
As of last week, we were 6th out of 760 people in the
Wow.
state. So we were doing great last week. We had a great week in the market. Roku was up big time. Microsoft and GM, two of our other stocks, were doing really well. So we're right in the mix for both the state and the region, and we're hoping to keep that going as we head out to the deadline in May.
Okay, so then if you're in the top 10, is there another stage?
Yeah, like, do you like win something? Like, what happens?
So it's a foundation that runs it, the SIFMA, Securities Industry Financial Markets Association, and so their mission is really for the good, to teach, and I think more notably they teach people that may not have the resources to learn investing properly, and so I don't think they're really about. At least I haven't seen anything about like big rewards, but I've told the students that personally, if they're 6 out of 750 teams in the state, so if they could continue that and win, I think they'll be.
We'll give
I
them
think
some
Mr. A
Roku
will step
stock.
up to the plate.
Chris, what are you taking from this class that you think you could apply in your life moving on? You're a senior. You'll be going to college next year.
So, I mean, this is the first time I've ever been exposed to any sort of finance stuff. I didn't know anything about it until I joined accounting. I just turned 18, so I think now, like, I'm kind of motivated to try to get, like, maybe a Robinhood account or some other smaller investing platform just to get started, so I have, like at least a little bit of a taste. And with a little bit of the knowledge that I learned from Mr. Attardo's class, I would like to just get going at least and see what happens from there going into college.
I mean, they say there's two different types of strategies. One, like money to play with, like trading, but you're really you're young enough to be a little bit more. What's the word I'm looking for? Like
Long term, maybe.
Well, I'm thinking like I'm in the middle. I'm in my 40s, so I've tried to shift my strategy to be a little bit more conservative than I was when I was younger. But the younger you are, you can take a little bit more risk and buy different stocks that might be considered a little bit more riskier. You're laughing. Have you been doing that in your portfolio?
No, I was just.
You're programmed that when the bell goes off, you're ready to get up.
Yeah,
Is that what it is?
It's like, yeah, I mean, I just with the stock market game, I put a little bit of research into the stocks. Like I just said, hey guys, how about Roku? And I was like, okay, yeah, let's just put 20,000 in there. Might change.
If it was your money,
If it was my money,
different story.
I mean, I might have put maybe an extra 10 minutes into it, but maybe a little longer.
Do you talk or cover anything about real estate or they have different products now where you can invest in real estate without actually owning the real estate?
Yeah, so real estate investment trusts
Yes.
are options that
Are-
they could I believe that real estate investment trusts are actually options that they could actually invest in the stock market game if they choose, and if they were bullish on the prospects for real estate, which is obviously booming right now, at least in our area. The stock market game is interesting because I think they try to teach you to be diversified and maybe invest in real estate and invest in bonds, mutual funds, ETFs, and so forth, which tend to be a little more conservative, give you more dividends, a little maybe a little more modest capital appreciation. But these kids are all gung ho about stocks, and I wasn't gonna try to stop the ongoing herd. And so what I expected actually came true. Is you give them 5 investment options, and you really don't see too many bonds. To the credit of some of the students on teams in some of my other classes, there are people that bought mutual funds, and maybe they thought the market may pull back, which is a reasonable thought. Then having some of the more conservative options would help. So I love that they're thinking that way.
Yes.
And that's ultimately the goal. I mean, it's great that they're growing their $100,000 more than most teams in the state. But, the ultimate goal is to see things like that, the logic that goes into them buying Roku, or the logic behind another team buying an index fund and so forth, because that's ultimately what you want to see in thinking about investing the right way.
So in the few short months that you've been a teacher here at St. Rose, and a teacher in general?
Teacher in general. Yeah.
What do you enjoy the most out of it?
The outcomes. You put a lot of work into the lesson planning and trying to teach outside the text a little bit and provide color, and hopefully it resonates. And so when I see the outcomes, when I see the kids get it, I say kids, I shouldn't say the students get it. That's what you look for. You make a career transition. You're doing it because you want to feel, you want to have a job that, where you wake up in the morning and you feel gratified when you go home at night. And that's what it is. I coached for years, and I always had that when I coached sports. And, when my baseball team or basketball team did well, it made me feel good Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday of that week.
Yeah.
And so when I see these kids do well on the tests, and, that you've resonated and it's resonated with them, it's gratifying. So I think that's what I'm most excited about.
Well, we're very lucky to have you, to have
Yes.
someone that has the experience of being in the field to be able to then teach it in our class with our students, right?
100%. I think that the fact that you were actually on Wall Street and you did this for like 20 years, like you said, that adds an extra level to what you're teaching, because you have real life experience, not just you were a teacher and then you decided to teach this and you're doing it from the textbook. I think that adds another level.
Completely.
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
Well, anything else you want to share about the stock market game? Can I know your balance? Are you able to tell me that, or?
Yeah, I can go
Millions
into
and
that
millions
a
and
little
millions.
bit. So, I believe as of a couple days ago. So, like we said, we started out with $100,000.
Right.
We originally invested about $75,000 to start into Disney, General Motors, and Microsoft.
You did Disney at this time.
Yeah.
Are you considering that a recovery stock?
When we bought it, it was pretty high. It's a little down right now, but we like Disney with all their, with the success of the Disney Plus streaming platform
Sure.
and the possibilities of summer, like Disney World opening,
Reopening.
getting a lot of more profit out of that.
Disneyland too.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
And movies.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, and then a couple weeks later, we had added Roku to our profile to finish out the $100,000. I believe right now we've made just over $10,000. So we've, a 10% profit out of our 100% is pretty good. And it's, kept us in like the top 10 in the state. So we're very happy with that.
That's exciting. Well, good luck. I want to know what happens. And we're going to hold Mr. Attardo. All right, well, guys, thank you so much. We're going to take a little break, and we'll be right back.
Choosing the right high school is critical. Finding the right fit is key. At St. Rose, we teach our students to push the envelope, to look beyond themselves, and to discover their full potential. Be more at St. Rose. To watch and listen to the show extras or to check out the show notes from today's episode, visit srhsnj.com/pop.
Wow, what a great idea! This whole idea of the stock market, Gabe, really put it like what you're learning in class to like real world applications.
Yes, I learn best when I'm giving like real world situations
Yes.
in math and English and everything. So the fact that there's like this whole game and you get to like really fake invest in stocks and different companies, that I think I would learn so much better that way than if I was just told to read a textbook and memorize. I don't do well with that.
I used to have an English teacher my senior year in high school who would read from the textbook every day, and I didn't feel like she supplemented it at all. And I would complain to her, and I got in trouble a lot. But it's good to know that we have teachers here at St. Rose who are able to, really engage the students. And I'm really happy for you guys, and good luck with everything. So on next week's show, we're moving on to the art department. And have you seen some of the artwork that's been outside the classrooms here?
Yes, my homeroom is actually one of the art rooms with Mrs. Fulton, so I see it every day. Plus, I do bagpipe, so after school I see it too. It's so impressive. Like some of the kids are so talented. I'm definitely not an artist.
No, not an artist, but neither am I. So I'm excited to talk to Mrs. Zagorski. She's one of our art teachers, and different portraits that our students have been working on. And also check out our top 10 mass. Our top 10 mass happens. We were able to celebrate the top 10 students at St. Rose High School based on their GPA. And those students will also be recognized at graduation, which is coming up in June. You guys don't have much left in school.
No, I think we got like less than 4 weeks of school left. Less
than a month.
We're excited, yeah.
Today's 20th.
Graduation's coming up. It's going by so fast.
I mean, I'm sure you're excited. Are you nervous?
Yes.
A little bit for college, but I think we'll all do fine.
I think you're going to do great. Yeah. We're going to close it up here. Thanks so much for watching today's episode, whether you're watching it or listening to it.
For all the show notes from today's episode, visit srhsnj.com/pop. Thanks, everyone, for listening to the 4th episode of the Power Potential Podcast. A new episode drops every Tuesday, and the podcast is available wherever you get your podcasts.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Power of Potential podcast. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others. Subscribe to hear past and future episodes. Learn more about St. Rose by visiting our website at srhsnj.com.